going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Preston 0, Tottenham 3 in the fourth round of the FA Cup at Deepdale. Spurs have safe passage in to round 5. And you know what? It wasn't very inspiring stuff in the first half. And I thought Spurs were the much better team. We had Preston penned in. A very frustrating first half from Ryan Sessegnon when he saw a lot of the ball on that side of the pitch, but just kept breaking down. The move just kept breaking down every time he got on it. But I thought all in that first half, it was a good display without really hurting Preston too much. Sonny had a chance, a half chance from 30 yards, which the keeper was equal to. And he kept finding some really good spaces, Sonny, in behind and making those really good runs. But the players in the midfield, Bentancur, Bissouma, Longley, couldn't really find the ball to really hurt Preston. Second half, it all changed really, where Spurs, I thought, were the much better side. And obviously got those 3 goals with 2 Sonny. One was an absolute wonder goal. The second one was a brilliant goal. And debutant Danjuma finished it off. But Brian, what were you thinking today?
Yeah, but pretty much word for what you said. The first half, we just couldn't get the goal, could we? We certainly came out, brought one of our brightest first halves. Yes, it was only Preston, but it looked better. Tanganga stood out for me in a good way. Sessegnon stood out for me in a not so good way. And then the second half came out, and obviously that wonder goal from Son, and it is a wonder goal. That's what we love. It's always coming in from there, isn't it? Crossing it into that side of the goal. Second one, you've got to say Perisic, who had not his best game, he was anonymous for most of it. It was a brilliant flick. And then obviously the third goal for the debutant. So the only concern I take away from it now with that second half is how Son went off. It didn't look good. Well, it looked like he's picked up a knock at least. With Richarlison out as well, who knows how long for. It's a worry, but listen, the FA Cup is very magical to me, and it stays magical.
Barry, in terms of good performers out there, who really stood out for you?
Japhet Tanganga. I think all game he didn't put a foot wrong. He was driving forward. He looked confident. Obviously, he was involved. Obviously, got the kind of assist for the first goal and was involved in the second goal, playing it onto Perisic for Perisic to flick it to Son. Look, it was very, very assured. So, look, for me, he kind of stood out. Obviously, Son's going to get the man of match and the plaudits for coming back in. But look, he was back to the Son that we all know and love, right? He was driving. He had a smile on his face. He looked positive. He made a couple of runs in that first half, lost the ball, but he didn't let that kind of hurt him like he would have done that we've seen pretty much all season. And so those two stood out. Like Brian said, Perisic and Kulusevski were very quiet, but when we needed that bit of magic, both of them came to it. Kulusevski with the assist to Danjuma, and Perisic with a flick to Sonny.
Yeah, and everyone, we were getting a bit frustrated in the game that Spurs weren't creating too many chances, and Ryan Sessegnon was just poor, really poor today. But when you look at it on the whole thing, it was a really dominant display from Spurs at the end of the day today. 69% possession, 13 goal attempts, 6 on target. When you're looking at Preston, obviously 31% possession, 5 goal attempts and only 1 on target. So you're talking about a real dominant display. And in these games, they can be real banana skins. So is it impressive to put in such a dominant display like that today?
It is. You got to remember when you say that as well, that's without Harry Kane. That's without Christian Romero. Without Højbjerg, but obviously Højbjerg's been a little bit off the boil, so you've got to take a lot away from that. And also, you've got to remember there are so many people that say, like you said, but you said in a joking way, that Perisic and Son can't play together. Well, look at that second goal.
Yeah, linked up from Perisic. A lovely back heel from Perisic, and Son finished it like we know he can. And it's so great to see Son finishing like that, because he's just been so off the boil all season. Only scored in 1 Premier League game this season. Okay, this isn't a Premier League game, but it's Palace, 2 Premier League games this season, 4 goals. So it's just great to see Son back in the goals with a smile on his face. It's just that injury that really worries me, to be honest. But let's talk about Danjuma now. Obviously, he's come in on a 6-month loan. He's had a bit of a backlash from certain sections of the fan base, saying that we shouldn't be signing someone like that. He's not good enough. But you can't knock him. He's come in, scored in his debut, showed a few nice touches, and he was actually showing some nice runs where no one actually picked him up. So I think he's got a bit about him, Danjuma.
Yeah, look, I think we're all underwhelmed, let's just say. It's an underwhelming signing. But look, we have to support him. And he's got the goal, right? He's come on the pitch, been on for however long he's been on. and he scored. Okay, again, you can say it's Preston, but what are we going to keep saying? We keep saying, oh, Son scored 2 goals. Oh, it's only Preston.
Yeah.
Danjuma scored. It's only Preston.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, it's not going to be Preston. And if, Sonny, Danjuma, Kane all score on Sunday next Sunday against Man City, what are we going to say then? We're going to find an excuse for that next Sunday? No, we're going to be celebrating. So, look, we just need to stay positive. I know, results haven't been great, and I'll go the full end of the spectrum the other way and say we're going to win the FA Cup and the Champions League and get top 4, but why not? Why not? Because this is we've all been speaking about this. Okay, we lost at City this time last year. We won at City and we went on a run, and we seem to be starting to put some things together that could lead us to go on a run.
There was a whole big thing made out of last week before the Fulham game. Apparently, Harry Kane called a team meeting. They had a clear the air talks in the squad. And a lot of pundits were talking about how they could see at that Fulham game, the team were fighting for each other, the team were together a lot more than what they have seen in previous weeks. Are you guys seeing that as well?
Fulham, you could see something different, but I think, in all honesty, yes, that team meeting, but I think a lot of it had to do with you guys in the away end. Like, the 12th man away, they really are something special.
Again today.
And what the other thing, just very quickly, with Danjuma, is the thing that impressed me the most is when he went to do those 1-2s and the ball didn't get through to him, how pissed off he was, jumping and going, the aggression.
Good mentality about him.
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to it, listen, that team meeting, and then Conte's come out and said, you want to make Kane win a trophy and everything. These are the things you want to hear. But this will go on, please God, for a long time, but it could easily go like that. But listen, the question was, can you see something different in these 2 games? Yes.
And in terms of the midfield today, we were talking about it coming into this game, how much we wanted to see a Bentancur Bissouma double pivot. I wasn't so impressed with Bentancur today. I thought a lot of his passing was astray. Obviously, he always puts that effort and desire in and running around like a madman and trying to win the ball back. But I think in an attacking point of view, I don't think he put in a great display. But I was really impressed with Bissouma today, and I actually thought he was the better of the 2 today.
Yeah, look, I think you're right. Obviously, we know what we're going to get with Bentancur, but yeah, Bissouma, I think for me, yeah, in flashes, he kind of did go missing in the game, but look, as a pair of them playing together, which we haven't really seen, and again against Preston, it could be the start of something. Obviously, we know that Højbjerg, since he's come back from the World Cup, has been poor. Skippy's kind of been hit and miss, but again, Skippy came in and he looked lively. So, it's encouraging. Let's just say, and like you said, like Brian said, the last 2 games, I've really seen a difference with this team because. How often would we have, Conte would have brought on Harry Kane knowing that he needs us to get out of this situation. And at every point where you thought, if it doesn't happen soon, it just happened. Son scored, he scored again. And then we knew that, we then knew Kane probably wasn't going to come on. And then Danjuma came on and scored on his debut. So everything at the moment, touch wood, it seems to be going in the way that we want it to.
Yeah, and especially today, you got to say, especially today, right? We're through it into the next round of the FA Cup, another clean sheet. Fringe players like Tanganga and obviously new signing Danjuma and Sonny, who's been on the periphery last couple of weeks, all coming in and playing well. Harry Kane not coming on at all and not have him getting a bit of a rest for the weekend. So I think it was job done, a perfect day really today.
Yeah. I go with that. I will say I don't know what. I'm not seeing what you're seeing with Bissouma. When I say, do I think we've got a player in him? Yes. Do I think he?
What do you mean? You're not seeing that he played well today?
Yeah, I do. I just want to see more from him. I think I would like to see this more, and I think there's potential this partnership could develop. But when he starts, Bissouma is having moments, and then he goes away for a while. Then he'll do something, and then he'll go. I want to see more consistency. I want to see him have a bigger influence on the game. I think he will have that in time, but I'm just not seeing it at the moment.
Well, with Bissouma, I don't think he had a worldie of a game. I just thought he was the better out of the 2 in the 2 of midfield, and I thought, he got the ball in the half spaces and was showing some really nice touches and some nice passes. And I thought out of the 2 between Bentancur and Bissouma, I thought he was the one actually taking that authority on the pitch to drive us a bit more forward than Bentancur.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm just not seeing that. That's my. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Bentancur. I agree with everything we said with Bentancur. I just don't think I'm seeing that with Bissouma.
Interesting. Well, That's what football's about.
Exactly.
Opinions, right?
Exactly.
Opinions. But that is all from us for the watch along. We'll be on the post-match fan show where it's your chance to have your say coming up next. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
Come on, you Spurs!